boring and correct. But thank you for that kind of introduction. You made me talking about how long I've represented this community. I make me feel like what was I called back a few months ago? A professional establishment career politician. So that's anybody, by the way, that's been elected to office and served one day. Politician. But, thank you very much, and thank you all for having me here today. I can't tell you how good it is to be home and to be with my friends at the chamber. And I want to thank Jan Hackett and Cynthia and Amanda and all the committee that put today together. I think you're doing this as much about the mission of the chamber and what we value here in this community, and so I want to commend you for doing that. And I'm especially pleased to be with so many outstanding law enforcement friends. We are truly blessed to have in this community some of the most dedicated and professional law enforcement officers that I know anywhere in the state of Georgia. I want to acknowledge, I think some are here, some aren't, but my friend Sheriff Dane Kirby and his department for the great work they do. Chief Johnny Searcy from the Blue Ridge PD, who I don't think is here, and Chief Michael Early from the Kaysville PD, and their departments for all that they do to make our communities safe. It's been about a year since I had the opportunity to visit with you and speak to you, and I think it was back on December the 3rd of last year. As I think back, I'd like to say it's been a great year since we were here. It's been a great year for Fannin County, but it's not been without its challenges. Last Christmas season we were hit with record rainfall, which forced us to close roads and schools. But we got to see our first responders in this county and surrounding counties rise to the challenge of helping people evacuate low-lying areas and performing swift water rescue missions. So we learned the importance of those professionals at that time. Since then, we've also been faced with a historic drought that, among other things, has contributed to wildfires across North Georgia, including here in our own Cohuttas. But here again, we saw firefighters, DNR personnel, law enforcement, and others join together to contain those fires and prevent the loss of life and property here in Georgia. As we reflect on 2016, we've seen just how important and invaluable a resource we have in the courageous professionals who wear a badge and uniform. Our dedicated state law enforcement officers have gone many, many years without a pay increase during the recent recession. They quietly persevered because they saw a duty larger than themselves. They answered the call time after time. Last year, I was a little shocked to find out that that members of our state law enforcement community, that Georgia's state troopers, were ranked number 50 out of 50 states in the nation for their base pay. That means we were last in the nation. But we're number one. We'd like to brag that we're the number one state in the nation in which to do business, and we are. But we were paying our state troopers last. So I thought that was something that we needed to correct, and we started working on that, working together, the leadership of the House of Representatives and the Senate and Governor Deal. We wanted to find a way to make this right. We were determined to make fairly compensating our troopers, our GBI agents, DNR, law enforcement, and others a top priority in this year's budget. So in September, I was proud to stand under the Gold Dome with Governor Deal and Lieutenant Governor Cagle and Senator Gooch and others, as well as committee chairmen from both chambers, to announce that we will, this beginning in January, enact a 20% across-the-board pay raise for our state law enforcement officers. As much as that increase, they will still only be number 24 in the nation, but at least we will be competitive. And that will be included in both the amended FY17 budget and the FY18 budget. I think we've made a great improvement there, but we still have work to do in the coming years. We're also implementing a new and improved training regimen to help today's officers face the new and ever more complicated situations they encounter in the field. On Tuesday, the governor told us that these changes have led to the Georgia State Patrol receiving, in the month of September alone, more applications for employment than the entire year before in 1 month. That's a positive change and one that I hope to see continue. As we look forward to the next legislative session, which begins on January 9, we've also got work to do in properly caring for others in our law enforcement community. And I'm talking now about firefighters. Across our cities and counties, paid and volunteer firefighters are on call 24/7 for fires, rescues, medical emergencies, and other incidents. This past session, we attempted to close a very serious gap in their benefits by ensuring that long-term illnesses such as cancer, which were caused by their hazardous working conditions, would be covered under workers' compensation. House Bill 216 was sponsored by Representative Michael Gravely from Douglas County, but was inspired by a Gilmer County firefighter named Brian Scudder. Brian Scudder would schedule his cancer treatments so that he could get back to work and go fight fires, because that was the only way he could care for his family. But he persevered, and he's licked his cancer, but he had to do it on his own. He had to do it by working, because he couldn't get workers' compensation to cover his treatments. You can't tell me that inhaling fumes and working around carcinogenic materials like asbestos shouldn't be covered by insurance or workers' comp, and you won't be able to tell me that. We came up with a good bill in House Bill 216, and it passed out of both the House and the Senate, but was vetoed by Governor Deal over some concerns he had about cost projections. While I respectfully disagree with him, I respect his decision. Having said that, we are going to introduce a new bill this session to provide coverage for our firefighters. They never fail to answer a call, and we will not fail in supporting them when they need us most. That's a promise I've made to members of my House, to Representative Gravely, and most important to firefighters, including my friend Brian Scudder, and that's a promise I'm going to keep. If you're seeing a theme develop here this morning, that's no accident. This session, we will compensate our state law enforcement, we will support our firefighters, and last but certainly not least, we will expand Georgia's efforts to support our armed forces. We've got the Camp Merrill and Georgia's Military College at University of North Georgia in nearby Delano. Dobbins Air Force Base here is just a little more than an hour south. Our 9 military installations in Georgia have a profound economic impact on Georgia, and they contribute greatly to our nation's defenses. This past summer and fall, we created the House Military Affairs Study Committee, and that study committee, composed of members of the House, have traveled to military bases all across the state. The 15 members of that bipartisan committee are looking for ways that the state can support our bases and the service members who call them home. They're looking at improving educational opportunities for military children, expanding benefits for veterans, and forming partnerships with the armed services to keep those bases right here in Georgia. That's because every few years the federal government conducts what they call BRAC, Base Realignment and Closure. This process can reduce or eliminate military installations. While we don't have a firm timeline for the next round of closures, most experts tell us that this process will start within the next 3 years, and we want to be sure that Georgia is ready. Our Military Affairs Study Committee held their last hearing just last week at the University of North Georgia's Dahlonega campus. I was proud to attend and announce that that committee will continue its work as a permanent working group of the House, because I think it is important that we not stop, and that our House members stay engaged in this conversation through the next round of practice. You know, it's a challenging time to be in law enforcement. It seems like almost every day, or at least every week, we turn on the news and we see another tragic story. I was not able to be at the Christmas parade in Blue Ridge this year because I was to attend and bid a funeral in Gwinnett County of a United States Marshal who was killed in the line of duty down in South Georgia about a week before. I sat there and watched his wife and 5 children buried. Just yesterday, we get news again that some bad guy has taken another law enforcement life and got one hanging on with a shooting down in Sumter County. Our law enforcement, our firefighters, our soldiers, sailors, airmen, Marines, and Coast Guard, in this upcoming legislative session, I am going to make fighting for them, because they fight for us, a top priority. They deserve no less. As Speaker of the House and as your state representative, I am very proud of these priorities. And I'm very proud of these men and women who put their life on the line every day to serve us. And I appreciate the opportunity to share that with you today. I want to thank all of them, all of you in public safety, in our community who are here today, for your service and your sacrifice, for your courage and your commitment to keeping this community a safe and great place to live. You truly honor the oath that you took each and every day, and I appreciate your selflessness and your courage that you exemplify. May God bless each of you, and may He continue to bless the greatest state and the greatest nation on the face of the earth. Thank you very much, and Merry Christmas.